So volatility is the measure of movement of the share prices. Higher the volatility, higher would be the standard deviation and higher would be the risk. So an investment with the returns that do not vary much from its average return has a low standard deviation. Low standard deviation implies low risk. High volatility, an investment which returns that do not vary greatly from its average return has high standard deviation, which vary greatly from its average return is high standard deviation. High standard deviation would mean higher risk. So we've seen different kind of assets are exposed to different kind of risk. And then you also have to look at your portfolio risk. Portfolio, as we've seen, is a combination of various kind of asset classes. So we have to manage the portfolio risk to generate optimum return for the customer. There are various ways in which risk can be measured, or at least certain aspect of it. We can see the volatility of different asset investment values by looking at graphs of daily share price or indices over a period of time. So ये हमने देखा था. We have seen the various way of calculating volatility and tracking or doing technical analysis. Usually these measures risk in terms of the degree of fluctuation or volatility that an investment has shown in the past. The volatility is the value of the investment can be quantified mathematically by calculating standard deviation to the value. So we have seen this in mutual fund. We have also done some numericals to calculate the standard deviation. So more volatile the value of an investment is, the greater is the standard deviation. An investment with returns that do not vary greatly from its average return has a high standard deviation. And as we have seen, high standard deviation implies high risk. An investment with returns that do not vary greatly from its average return has a low standard deviation. Low standard deviation obviously implies lesser risk. So low standard deviation implies low risk. So we calculate the standard deviation on the basis of past data or assumption that there will be similar level of volatility in future too for that investment. Obviously, past performance is not a guide to future performance. The investment's track record gives us only an idea of the previous volatility. और यही म्यूचुअल फंड में भी बार बार बोला जाता है कि past performance is not an indicator of the future performance. It depends on a lot of external factors as well. So knowing the standard deviation can help us to know the range of different values of return we might expect from an investment. Experience shows that for all about 2/3 of the time, we can expect the return to be within one standard deviation above or below the average return. So we've seen higher the standard deviation, higher is the investment risk. So investment has an average return of 4% and the standard deviation of the result is 4%, which means what? The return can vary from 9 plus 4 to 9 minus 4. So that means this return can vary from 5% to 13%, right? So if the standard deviation is, say, for example, 9%. So now what will be the range of the return? It can be 0 to 18%, right? So higher the standard deviation, higher is the risk. So we can expect that if we make the investment, there is a chance of 2/3 that annual return will be between 15 to 13% because 9 is the return and 4 is the standard deviation. It can be plus 4, it can be minus 4. So there's a chance of 1/3 that annual return will be below 5 or above 13%. So the volatility and therefore the risk of a share or fund can be compared with a benchmark, a standard against which the performance can be compared. So we've seen this, uh, different, even in mutual fund, the mutual fund manager is supposed to give a benchmark for comparison. So to know whether your investment is good or bad, you have to compare it with a benchmark rather than absolute return. So the volatility and therefore the risk of a share or fund can be compared with a benchmark, a standard against which the performance can be compared. The volatility of the index, which relates most closely to the share or fund. For example, a blue chip share standard deviation might be benchmarked against the FTSE 100 index. So in Indian context, we have seen that you uh, measure your performance in equity against the Sensex or the Nifty, and you measure the returns on your fixed income portfolio against the government securities or MIBOR. So depending on the kind of investment you'll do, you will choose the benchmark. Or for a fund against other funds in the same sector. So investment with high volatility involve higher risk. There'll be greater variation in return than for a low volatility investment. Rational investment should be particularly interested to hold investment that produce higher than average return, but with low volatility. And these are some measures to measure your volatility, alpha, beta, and key investors ratio. We've seen this in mutual fund as well. So if a fund performance is reported in isolation, it means relatively little. However, if you have to compare it with a benchmark, only then it will tell you whether the returns are good or bad. So a benchmark is simply any standard against which it is reasonable to compare the performance of a fund. So if the market only went up 5% and other funds with similar invested in similar asset only returned 6%. But it is not so good against the backdrop of market that rose by 20% and a peer group of similar funds which also rose by that amount. So comparison should be against the similar kind of securities. So benchmark is a standard against which you will measure the performance of your fund. So performance of peer groups of fund to which it belongs. For example, the performance of sector of funds are measured by an industry body such as Investment Management Association. A fund investing in blue chip UK equities might be benchmarked against FTSE 100 index. Certain type of funds are standards such as return on particular government stock or other risk-free asset. So for which certain hedge fund managers state that their aim is to outperform the total return or long yields by certain number of percentage point regardless of the direction of market. इस पे जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. Basically, it means you will select your benchmark depending on where you have done the investment, and we have seen it in detail in Indian context when we were looking at mutual funds. The important factor with regard to benchmark is that they should be relevant to the market in which the fund itself is invested, and they should be used consistently. Benchmarks can be used to compare not only the performance of fund in terms of return, but also in terms of volatility. The beta factor measures the volatility of investment relative to the market or benchmark. So we had seen beta is the diversion from the market. So higher the diversion, higher is the beta, and riskier is the fund. So higher the value of beta for an investment, the greater the movement is in return relative to the market or benchmark. And beta can be used only for equity investment. So a fund with beta factor of 1 moves in line with the benchmark, with the market or benchmark. If the market moves up 5%, the price of the fund is likely to move up 5%. A fund with beta greater than 1 varies more widely than the market or benchmark. If the market moves up by 5%, the price of fund with a beta of 2 is likely to move up 10%. A fund with a beta factor of less than 1 fluctuate less than the wider market or benchmark. If the market moves up or down 10%, the price of the fund with a beta of 0.5 is likely to move down respectively by 5%. So beta measures the volatility of the fund with regards to the index or the benchmark. Now another measure is alpha. So alpha is the extent of any outperformance against its benchmark. That is the difference between a fund's expected risk return based on its beta and its actual return. So basically, if no, a beta of 1 would mean that the volatility is high. That means the fund manager is taking more risk. So if he's taking more risk, he needs to generate more returns. Okay. And a beta less than 1 would mean that the volatility is lesser than the market. That means the fund manager is taking lesser risk and therefore he'll be able to generate lesser return. So that is what alpha measures. So however, it just measures the performance. It does not take into account the incompetence. So the advantage of alpha is that it does not distinguish between underperformance caused by incompetence and underperformance caused by fees. For example, manager of index funds don't select stock or they don't add or subtract any value. In theory, index fund should have an alpha of 0. Yet many index funds have negative alpha because of the fund's expenses. So looking out an excess return over benchmark, the aggressive manager looks preferable to the conservative manager. The key to calculation of alpha is the amount of beta risk the manager has undertaken. So obviously your alpha also has to be correlated to beta. So higher the beta, higher should be the alpha. So like means the fund manager should have performed better because he has taken more risk than the market. So for that, we have to calculate the Sharpe ratio. So measures the excess return of portfolio over risk-free interest rate or each unit of risk assumed by the portfolio. So this is the so there are two ratio. One is the Sharpe ratio and other is I remember tenor ratio. One takes standard deviation, the other takes beta. So RP minus RF by standard deviation. So RP is the portfolio risk, the portfolio return. So risk-free return rate is a rate that is assumed can be obtained by investing in financial instruments with no default risk. तो कौन सा इंस्ट्रूमेंट है विद नो डिफॉल्ट रिस्क, कौन सा फिक्स्ड इनकम इंस्ट्रूमेंट है विद नो डिफॉल्ट रिस्क?
मैम गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज.
Yes, government securities. The financial instruments can carry other type of credit risk like credit risk and market risk. A truly risk-free asset exists only in theory. In practice, a short-dated government bond to a relevant currency is used instead. Okay, so it measures the risk of returns compared to risk. So RP is the expected or portfolio return. RF is risk-free return, and standard deviation is the portfolio asset standard deviation. So Sharpe ratio is expected return minus risk-free return upon standard deviation. And the better the Sharpe ratio, better is the return on the portfolio. जिसको risk adjusted return भी बोलते हैं. So higher the Sharpe ratio, better the risk adjusted performance of the portfolio and greater the implied level of active management skills. ये जो standard deviation है, ये जितना कम होगा उतना ही आपका Sharpe ratio ज्यादा होगा, because ये डिनोमिनेटर में है ना, तो जितना ये कम होगा उतना आपका Sharpe ratio बढ़ेगा. तो हम काफी इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए ट्रैकिंग एरर भी कैलकुलेट करते हैं. ट्रैकिंग एरर क्या है? ट्रैकिंग एरर इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द benchmark related to a benchmark. So compares the excess return achieved by a fund by a fund over its benchmarks to the fund's tracking error. So tracking error is the standard deviation. Standard deviation we have seen, the deviation from the in returns. So tracking error is the standard deviation of the returns relative to the benchmark. So measures how closely a portfolio has followed the index. उसको tracking error भी कहते हैं, जितना index से different होगा आपका return. So for example, आपके index ने 5% return दिया है, आप portfolio ने 6% return दिया है, तो 1% का tracking error. And the fund performance may deviate from the benchmark due to investment manager decision concerning asset weighting. If it outperforms, the ratio will be positive. If it underperforms, it will be negative. So higher information ratio is a sign of a successful fund manager. So it takes the excess return over standard deviation. So same formula, but here we are taking annualized return. So annualized return of investment on portfolio, annualized return of the index by standard deviation. So this shows you how well your fund manager has managed your funds. So here you see alpha measures excess of return, whereas Sharpe ratio also takes risk adjusted return. Information ratio manages risk adjusted return. Alpha is related to the index, yes. However, Sharpe is not. Sharpe takes risk-free return into account. So alpha can be used within the category. Sharpe ratio can be used across category. Information ratio is used within the category. So alpha uses beta, Sharpe ratio uses standard deviation, and here it uses risk square. So these are basically, if you, we've seen this in mutual fund also, we have seen, these are ratios which help you to measure the fund's performance. Or as we have seen, returns are linked to risk. So you also have to see if the fund manager has taken higher amount of risk, was he able to generate higher amount of return for you? If he has, then good. If he is not, then his performance is not that good. Now private equity. अब प्राइवेट इक्विटी के बारे में कौन बताएगा? हमें प्राइवेट इक्विटी के बारे में हम बहुत देख चुके हैं, बताएगा कौन? गौरव बताओ प्राइवेट इक्विटी के बारे में. What is private equity? क्या है प्राइवेट इक्विटी?
मैम प्राइवेट इक्विटी में जो शेयर होल्डर होते हैं वो
जो शेयर होल्डर्स होते हैं वो
200 तक रहते हैं.
क्या होता है प्राइवेट इक्विटी? एनीवन एल्स? राहुल, प्राइवेट इक्विटी क्या है?
मैम राहुल है ही नहीं सर.
राहुल है नहीं? कौन है फिर? राहुल और अर्पिता दोनों ही चले गए हैं.
यस मैम.
मैम राहुल का मोबाइल डिस्चार्ज हो गया इसलिए वो आ नहीं पाया.
अच्छा सिद्धार्थ
लाइट
बताओ
भी
क्या होता है
लाइट
प्राइवेट
भी नहीं है।
इक्विटी? लाइट नहीं है?
हाँ मैम।
अच्छा प्राइवेट इक्विटी बताइए क्या होता है?
मैम प्राइवेट इक्विटी में मैं इन्वेस्टर मैम डायरेक्टली इन्वेस्ट करते हैं प्राइवेट कंपनी में। और
करेक्ट
मैम इसमें जो स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में लिस्ट नहीं रहता है कंपनी।
करेक्ट करेक्ट
Ma'am,
गुड
number of investors are limited.
correct. Number of investors are limited, they are not listed on the stock exchange. And transferability is restricted. Correct. अब देवेश भी चले गया. So private equity refers to any type of equity investment in an asset which is where equity is not freely tradable on the public market. So obviously they will have lesser liquidity, and the tenure is medium to long term. You will not get good returns in short term because the investment is in relatively newer companies, and they might not be able to generate that kind of returns in the short term. So this is what Siddharth rightfully told us. Asset class representing the companies not publicly traded. Compare it with public equity traded on stock exchange. This can be venture capital, growth capital, or buyout. And there are many investors. There can be pension funds, insurance companies, large corporates, or high net worth individuals. So इसमें दो चीज है ना, एक तो ट्रांसफरेबिलिटी कम है और लॉन्ग टर्म है. So only people who have money to spare for a long period of time will be able to invest in private equity. So investor in private equity funds are called limited partners. PE funds are managed by the general partners. So limited partners or investors can be public pension funds, corporate pension funds, insurance company, HNIs, family officers, endowments, foundations, fund of fund, souvenir wealth fund. So जिसके पास time है और पैसा है, only those kind of people will invest in private equity. And you can invest through a private equity firm. So you can have, ये सब हम पहले देख चुके हैं, just a revision. You can have angel investors. Angel investors are people who provide money for the early stage, which is seed. Seed is the money you need to start a business. So seed and startup. Then you can have venture capitalists who again provide money for early stage and expansion or a later stage. Then private equity at a later stage. And these are buyout special. मतलब अपने private equity में invest कर दिया with anticipation कि अब company बड़ी हो गई है, profit making है, somebody will come and buy it over. Then hedge funds can invest in all stages. So hedge funds are also like mutual funds, but they take care of the HNIs and they are riskier than mutual fund because they invest in private equity. So private equity can be debt. So acquisition are made through leveraged buyout deals. मतलब paying उनका debt आपने ले लिया तो मतलब you become the owner. Then the investors, PE fund manager must be disciplined and patient. The investors also have to be patient. The success of the investment relies on the implementation of the business plan. So managers and the macro environment. So acquisition arbitrage can be positive in a period of growth. So these are the participants in the private equity market. So you have investors, pension funds, endowments, foundation, bank holding companies, high net worth individuals, insurance company, investment bank, corporation, other investment. जिनके पास पैसा है और थोड़ा टाइम के लिए वो पैसा अलग रख सकते हैं, those can invest in private equity. So you can have venture capitalists giving the seed money, startup expansion or replacement capital. एक shareholder को exit करना है तो venture capitalists can pay in money, special situation and buyouts. So venture capitals are type of private equity capital providers at early stage, high potential growth companies in the hope of regenerating a return through an eventual sale of the company once successful. So आप इसके लिए फ्लिपकार्ट का मॉडल देख सकते हैं. फ्लिपकार्ट किस तरह they become the company they are today. So the entrepreneur idea that is being funded by the venture capital may require several years to come to fruition. Venture capital investments are generally made as cash in exchange for shares in the invested company. Until that point, there is no market in the firm shares, so the investment is illiquid. So there are some advantage to invest in private equity also. So higher return because the higher risk you have. In many countries, there is tax relief is given on the investment. The potential for higher return then can be achieved by mature company. Bond and equity market may decline in value. A started company can still increase in value. However, there is always a risk that initial idea being funded is never able to be brought to the market, in which case there would be no return on the investment. So this is another, we have seen this, but there is risk in property as well. I'm sorry, I'm having this method. So property has consistently provided positive real long-term returns allied to low volatility and reliable income stream of income. And exposure to property can provide diversification benefits to portfolio owing to its low correlation with both traditional and alternative asset classes. Property can be subject to prolonged downturns, and if invested indirectly, its lack of liquidity and high transaction cost on transfer really makes it suitable only as an investment for medium to long term. So we have seen this, the risk in real estate. However, real estate also provides better returns in the long run. So we have seen there can be a correlation. So when equity prices go up, commodity prices usually fall. So we've seen gold and equity, for example, have a reverse relationship. When gold is doing well, equity will not do well. And when equity is doing well, gold will not do well. Bond prices, however, remain stagnant. So we've seen the volatility of bond prices is anyways lesser. So that is what we have to look at. That is the asset allocation. So asset allocation is choosing different asset to maximize the return and minimize the risk for the customer. So asset allocation, it is a macro equivalent or to diversify a portfolio to reduce its risks, and asset allocation correlations change over time. So assessing the prospect for each of main asset classes within each of world's major investment region. And we have seen macroeconomic environment also play a factor in making the investment decision. So step one should be done against the backdrop of world economic, political, and social environment. For that. So tracking error is also one way of calculating the variation in the return. So it can be ex post or ex ante. Post is which has happened in the past. So historical tracking error is usually calculated as a standard deviation to the return relative to the benchmark and is more useful for reporting performance. Ex ante tracking error models exist since simple equity model which use beta as a primary determinant to more complicated multi-factor fixed income models. And this is used to control risk. And index funds, as we've seen, are the funds which invest only in the securities of the index, should have a minimum tracking error. So we've seen this in mutual fund that before a fund comes, they have to clearly define their investment objective or the investment mandate, which determines the fund's aim, the limit within which it's supposed to invest, and the investment policy. So we've seen this in details in mutual fund, where we have seen that each investment, each fund should have an investment objective and an investment policy. So what is the fund's aim? Can be generation of dividend income, can be also capital growth, can be capital protection. Any specific strategies they will follow or plan? Where will they invest? So we have seen we have international funds also in India, which also invest in securities outside India. Then in which sectors they will invest? So for example, you have the FMCG fund. So primarily it will invest in FMCG. What type of securities? So for example, it's a growth fund, then it will invest in equity. If it is a income fund, then it will invest in fixed income instrument. Whether they're allowed to short sell and whether it will be hedged, whether it will be geared and to what extent. Geared means leveraged. What is the benchmark? Maximum error in the tracking the benchmark, or any investment restriction placed on the fund. So we've seen this as a disclosure norm in mutual fund. So as per the SEBI norms, the mutual funds are required to disclose all this information in the which document they will tell you all this.
Ma'am,
कौन से document? हाँ?
Ma'am, KIM. Offer
KIM,
document.
KIM तो वो है ना, offer document. KIM तो is a summary of the offer document. So SAI or SID are the two parts of your offer document, and there's the mutual funds are supposed to disclose this information. So how will you reduce the investment risk? What are the ways of reducing the investment risk? कैसे reduce कर सकते हैं? जल्दी बताइए. This is the last topic. We will finish it today. फटाफट जल्दी बताइए. How do you mitigate the investment risk? कौन कौन से risk आप mitigate कर सकते हैं by proper asset allocation? खुशबू जल्दी जल्दी बताओ.
Ma'am, market risk.
मार्केट रिस्क आप मिटिगेट कर सकते हो क्या?
No.
Ma'am, systematic risk.
Sorry.
सिस्टमैटिक रिस्क तो बिल्कुल मिटिगेट करने का कोई चांस ही नहीं होता ना, वो तो फिक्स फॉर एवरी सिक्योरिटी.
मैम
कंसंट्रेशन रिस्क मिटिगेट कर सकते हो.
कैलकुलेटिव रिस्क.
Yes, ma'am. Concentration.
कैलकुलेटिव रिस्क ये क्या होता है? कैलकुलेटिव रिस्क कौन सा होता है भैया? कैलकुलेटिव रिस्क कोई नहीं होता. तो कंसंट्रेशन रिस्क आप रिड्यूस कर सकते हो बाय डाइवर्सिफाइंग. मार्केट रिस्क आप रिड्यूस कर सकते हो बाय हैविंग लेसर सिक्योरिटीज विद मार्केट रिस्क, राइट. डिफॉल्ट रिस्क मिटिगेट कर सकते हो बाय चूजिंग गुड क्वालिटी bonds. Yeah. So systematic risk, actually there is no way to mitigate it because it is risk to all securities. You can reduce non-systematic risk by diversification. So these are some techniques which will use diversification, optimization, portfolio hedging, short selling, and risk transfer. So systematic risk is a risk which is relevant to all kind of securities. Okay, whereas non-systematic risk is for one kind of security. So for example, if we have a war, it's a systematic risk. It will affect all kind of asset classes or all kind of companies. However, if US, for example, refuses to give visa to Indian companies, that will be a non-systematic risk for IT companies. I think we just have time for this. We've got a few slides left, which we will cover tomorrow, and tomorrow we will start with a new topic. So you've got the schedule for this week, na, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Acha, and please start preparing for the evaluation of this module. This module we have seen basically it talks about investment management. So please revise, and maybe on Friday or on Monday, next Monday, we will have the evaluation for this module. Right? And
Ma'am?
then yeah.
Ma'am, it's last evaluation.
No, you'll also have an evaluation for fourth fourth module as well. Fourth module शायद कम दिन का है, शायद it will be around 15 days, and उसके बाद आपका final evaluation. Okay, so fine. From tomorrow, tomorrow we'll continue this, and we need topics we have to cover. But एक बार वो म्यूचुअल फंड की बुक अगर आप पढ़ लोगे in this week, that will be better. You'll be able to score much better in your next exercise. Okay, चलो then, bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.